Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back with another one. It is Brian S. Arnold here, and this is the Adoya Project. I have my new good friend here, Brittany Dixon, and she says she is going to help us discover why systems are self-care for your business. Is that right, Brittany?
That's right. I'm super excited. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, we shall see. We shall see on this episode of the Authority Project.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, feast your eyes and tune your ears. It's that time again. We are live with another episode of The Authority Project. It's the video podcast streamed on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Periscope, where we talk to digital marketers, business coaches, and creators of all kinds on how they've built authority in their field and how you can mimic their success. Developing authority, building your audience, and attracting better clients to your own business. Now, without further ado, let's bring to the virtual stage your host, Brian S. Arnold.
All right, and we are back with another one, folks. It is Brian S. Arnold here, your host of the Authority Project. You are the project. We want to slap authority to your name so you can sell more of what you're great at. And I'm here, graced by the presence of Brittany Dixon. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Very good, thank you. And I am. It's been quite a mess beforehand. I gotta tell you, I gotta admit, I was all over the place. I forgot. Well, I lost track of time.
Yes, it happens.
It's a thing, right? It's a thing.
It is 100%. And I'm a little under the weather, so my voice is a little nasally. So there's that.
There you go. But we're still here, ready to go, get this started. So, my first question to you is, who is Brittany? Tell us who is Brittany personally and then professionally.
Fantastic. So my name is Brittany Dixon, and I actually live outside of Columbus, Ohio. So I live in London, Ohio, but it's not the cool London where I get like the accent and all that fun stuff. So super small town. I'm actually a mom of twins. I have twin girls that are 8 going on 13. Nice. That's why I do what I do, but they're super, super fun. I'm a dog mom. So I've got a golden doodle and a Jack Russell Beagle. And yeah, just business owner. So I own Brittany Co Consulting, and I am business coach, productivity coach, and podcaster. So all the fun things.
Very, very nice. I too have twins.
Oh, no
and
way.
I too used to live. I used to live in Ohio for like 15 years of my life as well.
Oh my gosh, what part?
Columbus, Ohio.
Yep,
Columbus, Ohio.
Small world.
Yep. So there is that. So wonderful.
It's
a small world for sure. Okay, so let's get right into it. Let's get right into this topic about systems.
Systems. What do we want to talk about? I could talk about systems all day.
So the thing is, I guess first of all, tell us why. Tell us why we should be talking about systems. Should it be as soon as we start? Is it from scratch? Is it something that you develop? Tell us why first. Why are they self-care for your business?
Yeah, for sure. So everything is a system. Literally everything that we do in life and business is a system. And I think the word systems is thrown around a lot, especially in the online space. A lot of people relate it to software and tools, and it's not necessarily that. Systems really are just the how-to. So how do you do the things that you do? Whether that be how to write a blog post and get it posted, how to create content calendars, how to onboard clients. Literally everything in life and business is a system. I mean, even down to how I get my twins out of the house in the morning and actually make it to work on time. Right. So with systems, I mean, it is something that you should think about as a newer business owner, but they are things that develop over time. And even on a daily basis, you think of new ways to create faster and more streamlined systems within a business. So it is something that as a business owner, you should start thinking about even when you're first starting, but it is something that's going to grow with you as you start to build your business and build a team. So it's not something that you have to have it all figured out from the get-go.
Good. That's good to know. Good to know.
Yes.
So tell us about what are the key ingredients to building a successful system for your business so that it's working and making it more sustainable. Like you said, I get the thing that you have to develop something as you go along,
Yeah.
make things, more expedient as you go along. But what are the ingredients? Tell us when you're talking to clients, like you're talking about systems, what has to happen for that to be in place?
Yeah, for sure. So I actually walk all of my clients and my students through my road to scalability method. And it really is like that 4-step process that I feel like all business owners need. And it's something that it's like a muscle that you have to develop. It's not something that you just do once and it's done. So the 4 steps are recognize, optimize, automate, and then document and delegate. So really during that 4-step process, that recognition phase is figuring out what you even need the system for, what is working for you that you could incorporate into a system, what's not working for you, really evaluating what's going on and what you even need something in place for. So this could really be just looking at what you've done previously, if you have checklists that you've used, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and really just like laying out the land, right? Like we need to have that roadmap. So then we can actually go in and actually optimize. So that's when we can decide, okay, this is the correct software for this because I know why I need this system. This is going to do the things I need it to do. So then we can really kind of look at setting that system up. And then the automation piece is what everybody wants. Everyone's like, oh, I want some automation in my business. But it's really difficult to automate things without having a really streamlined process in place. So you have to really make sure that you've optimized things before you can try and start automating. And then the D is the documenting and delegating. So this is where you can actually create SOPs, standard operating procedures, where you're able to then say, hey, team member, I know exactly how to do this process, so now I want you to take over. So then you can actually start delegating and growing a team. But really the pieces of systems are knowing the workflow, which is the step-by-step, and then deciding on the software. So you have to have that system and that workflow before you can decide on a tool to actually help you execute that. And then knowing that you're going to have to continually tweak as things kind of change and go along with your business.
I like how you're saying that there's a sequence to this, because I think that people, they want to jump into getting, hiring help before they even know what they're doing.
Yes.
I've made that mistake before.
We all have. We all have.
Well, you try to get this virtual assistant, and then like, okay, don't you guys just know how to do it? No, they don't know how to do it. They don't know what
everything's in our head, right? Like, right. And that's the biggest thing with systems and documenting things and putting it into a tool or a workflow is that you've got to get it out of your head, or else you are the only one that can ever do it. And you shouldn't, as a CEO, you shouldn't be the one that's doing everything. You should be the one that's creating content and trainings and those sorts of things within your business. But some of that back end stuff, you don't need to be the person doing it, but you also want it done a certain way. So you have to have that workflow and that checklist for somebody to come in and follow.
And I think we're talking about business right now, but I think this can work with, like you said, a lot of different things. Say if you have a job. I remember when I had taken over for a person for this I don't know what she was trying to do, but it was crazy when I got it. And then I kind of assembled my own craziness. And I didn't realize that I had a system until this guy put me in a room, started asking me all these questions. Well, how do you do this? What did you do when you did this? And I had this huge mind map on this big wall. I was like, wow, I actually have a system in place that I had no idea about.
Yes. Yeah. And I think so many business owners, when I say systems, they're like, oh, I don't have any systems in place. I'm like, yes, you do, or you wouldn't have a business. So a lot of people don't think they do, but it's just because they haven't done what you just said. They haven't mind mapped it and like seen all the puzzle pieces and how they do that. But we all have systems in place for everything, even down to your morning routine. That's a system, right? It's a checklist of things that you do in the morning, at the end of their day, having some sort of routine. Those are all systems. And like I said, I think that the word systems gets thrown around a lot and people think like these crazy automated things. And it really is just that, like, how do you do things in extreme detail? Like, how can you map that out into a checklist?
So let's go there. Why do you think people struggle to put systems in their business, and how do they overcome it?
Yeah, so I think that goes back to your point, right? Like you worked for, we were at a corporate office or something, right? Like they're creating those systems for you, and you're really just coming in and following them, or you're coming in and tweaking to your work style. So that's a lot easier to come in and have somebody tell you how to do it.
Right.
But when you're the business owner, you're the one that's creating the systems and having to follow the systems. So if you are in the day-to-day and you're doing all the work, but you're not creating these systems, like you're in this like spiral. And I think that's the most difficult thing, is that business owners just want to do what they started their business for, not all the other pieces that it takes to run a business.
You just want to create, right?
I'm like, I just want to go create some videos and trainings and worksheets, and everything that you want to create has a checklist of like 900 things in the back end that have to be done. So I think that's one of the biggest struggles, is that business owners have to create the system and follow the system at the same time. So they struggle with that. Honestly, how to overcome that is that if you can just start thinking in systems and thinking like, how can I create a template for this to make it faster next time? How can I document this so that I don't have to think about the steps next time? How can I find a tool that will kind of take over this and make this faster for me? If you can start thinking in systems, it makes it a lot easier to then start creating these processes. Actually, it's really funny. I have a couple of my students, they're like, I have this little Brittany birdie on my shoulder, and every time I'm doing something for a second time, they're like, create this as a checklist, create this as a process, because the more templatized we can do things, the more like standards that we have, the easier it is on us to create stuff, right? So like if we want to create a workshop, it's pretty much the same steps every time we create a workshop. So let's create a checklist so that we can just jump through those check marks and check those boxes off, instead of having to like try and reinvent the wheel and think about that each time.
Right. So this is where the block is, though, Brittany.
Yeah.
Because somewhere down in that checklist, there's one or two things that we just don't want to do. I mean, we hate doing this. we don't want to do it, and so that's where the system kind of breaks down. So how do we get over those things that we just, the things that we have to do, but we just don't want to do it?
Yeah, for sure. That's where you can look at outsourcing, right? We've created the checklist. We have a training video on how to do that thing. You can start outsourcing that. If that's not an option for you, I think that it's kind of that do the thing that you don't want to do first and get it out of the way kind of thing.
Right.
So maybe jumping through that, but being able to even just document that and do a recorded video really quickly, you can give that to someone else, and it's not something that you have to do. But if you aren't aware of the steps and you're not aware of the process, it's going to be really hard for you to pass that off to a virtual assistant or somebody to come help you. So it really is that first step of even figuring out what the process is for yourself.
So what do you think is the realistic timeline to getting a system that is working, and we know that we do this we get these type of results that we're looking for?
Yeah. So I think it's going to differ just kind of depending on what type of system that you're talking about. One, for example, would be like a client onboarding system. If you've worked with numerous one-on-one clients and you find yourself doing the exact same things over and over, creating that checklist and creating that workflow for yourself so that it's just faster next time, or someone else can kind of take over. So I think it depends on what you're talking about. I think with one-on-one clients, if you work with enough of them, you see all the patterns. You pretty much do the same thing for your clients each time. But something like a workshop, right? Like that could differ, and you could have a different workflow for that. So I think the timing, it kind of just depends. But again, if you can just think in systems and be like, okay, I'm doing this for the second time. Let's create that checklist. Let's create that workflow. I think it makes it so much easier to not reinvent the wheel each time.
Awesome. So a lot of this can be, pretty, how do I say it? Simplified for if you're in a corporate office, you have these systems in place, you have 8 hours, you come in here 8 hours a day.
Yep.
So what about because we deal with a lot of side hustlers here, a lot of solopreneurs and so forth, when they already have a job, and then they come home, maybe they have kids, family, loved ones, they want to have some me time.
Yeah.
And then you have this thing where you're trying to do this side hustle for your business.
Yep.
So time.
Yeah.
Time.
100%.
How does the system work with time when things are all chaotic sometimes with your lifestyle?
So people think that systems take time, but they actually make time. I think that systems are even more crucial for side hustlers and people that have a very short window to work in, because you have to be a lot more strategic with your time and what you're doing and things that are moving the business forward. So I think by having those like super succinct routines where you're like, I have 3 hours, these are the activities that I have to do each time to move the business forward. I think systems are so much more important with less time. Because I mean, I do 40 hours a week in my business, or, give or take, right? But I think sometimes I'm like, oh, I have all this time, so I can kind of just do whatever. I think people that are side hustling and have very limited time, like you got to pick those very high impact activities and put them in your routine and make sure that you get those done.
Now, do you have a day where you schedule these things for the weekly time to put together these systems in certain pockets of time?
Yeah, so I do. I kind of batch my days. So Mondays are typically admin and content creation for me. So any kind of like back end stuff that I need to do, systems I need to create, creating content, that type of thing. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays for me are typically client facing and front facing. And then Fridays kind of my like catch all / planning for the next week kind of thing. But I definitely suggest blocking out some portion of like admin back end business time, just because there are so many different things that you need to think about. Whether that's just keeping up on like bookkeeping and invoicing, creating content, creating systems. There's a lot that you have to do to kind of make your business move forward. So I would definitely suggest blocking out some of that on the calendar for sure.
Awesome. And I have forgotten one question that I usually ask
Yeah.
in the beginning.
No, you're good. You got so excited about systems, we just skipped it.
Right. So it is based on your morning routine, or your daily routine. Do you have one? And how does that work for you?
Yeah. So my routine is it's pretty relaxed. I've got the kids in the morning, so I've got to get them off to school. And it kind of just depends on what is on my calendar for the day. But I like to really kind of just dive into my Asana checklist and see what's on my calendar. I actually plan my day the night before. So I have a whole end of day routine to kind of map out the next day. So really just making sure I can kind of hit the ground running, but I don't have one of those crazy, like wake up at 5 a.m. and do an hour workout. And like, I've got twins at home. I don't have that luxury. So it is kind of just, and I also work from a co-working space sometimes at home. So, but that's honestly what I love about owning my own business is just like the time freedom of I can work whatever times I want.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So I have one last question for you.
Okay, cool.
And it goes something like this. There are people watching right now, but they'll be listening later.
Yeah.
And they want to know how they can do something like what you're doing, helping people be more productive, putting systems in place in their business.
Yeah.
Can you tell them, and I'll put you front and center, how they can become an authority in this space?
Yeah, absolutely. So by creating systems for business owners, you're actually helping them to increase their profit and grow their business. So by really learning about the back end of a business and figuring out all the moving pieces and how to simplify them, you could come into a business and really show them that they can create these systems, right? So I actually use my BCO buckets. So business development, client services, and operations. Those 3 core areas, every single business has. So if you can come into the business development side and show them how to create systems for marketing, and then come into the client side and show them how to create client onboarding and offboarding systems, and then the operations side and show them how to do the strategy and the planning and create systems within those 3 buckets. Business owners want to simplify things. So really going in and showing them how to do that and showing them how to make things faster and create checklists within their business and create things that are super duplicatable. That's going to help business owners tremendously. I actually call them spa days when I do them for business owners, systems, processes, and automation. And we come in and we have a whole spa day for their business, and we get things organized and really just take some of the stress off of them.
That's awesome. I love it.
That's why I call it self-care for your business.
Yes, that is
once
perfect.
you have those things in place, the CEO just feels so much less stressed because they feel like they've got a system in place and a checklist, and they've got a plan, and they can hand stuff off, and just being that CEO instead of just being a super overwhelmed employee.
See, that sounds cool. See, this is what I think people, don't get this, but I think sometimes you got to have something cool that, like, wow, that sounds great. Do you agree with that?
Some kind of like name or acronym type of thing.
Gimmick kind of gimmick. I mean, I don't want to say gimmick, but something that's, acronym that, that's not something familiar that they can grab onto like that. So.
Oh yeah. I have a lot of acronyms in my business. Okay. People love them.
Awesome. I absolutely love that. So great stuff today, Brittany. Awesome stuff. Can you please tell people where they can go after the show?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually have a free community. It's the Productivity Pod community. The link is there on the screen, but it's productivitypodcommunity.mn.co. We actually have an office hours once a month where you can come and ask me questions for free. We also have a happy hour and a coffee chat so that members can kind of connect and mingle. And we're doing all kinds of fun stuff in there. So come hang out with us over there.
Awesome. Everybody, that's it. That's the show. I appreciate you, Brittany. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. As you wrap up here, remember. I always say this: build it, share it, and they will come. We'll see you next time. We're out of here. Peace.
Bye.
And that's a wrap for this episode of The Authority Project. Thanks so much for tuning in. And if you like what you heard, we want to hear from you. Subscribe, rate, and give an honest review. Share and tell your friends so they can hear too. And for even more authority-building tactics, be sure to sign up at theauthorityletter.com. Get free weekly content and ongoing digital product giveaways to help you on your entrepreneurial journey. We certainly hope you got a key takeaway, or maybe an aha moment from today's broadcast. Just remember, it's your authority. Build it, share it, and they will come. Until next time.